Each morning, I keep one egg to survive, and one to remind myself that I'm still human. Ravi would whisper this as he placed the boiled egg on an old chipped clay plate. The white hen sat quietly by his feet, her eyes half closed, as if she understood. People in the village would shake their heads and say, "He's so poor, yet he still gives one of his only eggs away." But no one knew that from that simple egg, a child once made it, through a feverish hunger. And slowly, the whole village began to change, because of something small, quiet, and nameless. Welcome to Soulgyan, a space where simple stories gently stir the hearts of those tired of too much noise. We don't share stories to teach anyone how to live, but to softly remind that even in the smallest acts, something sacred still breathes. Sometimes all it takes is a quiet kindness, given without name, to bring someone back to the light. Today we listen to the story of Ravi, a man who had lost everything and yet found something deeper through a white hen and a single morning egg. Ravi wasn't always an old, fragile man. In his younger days he was strong, doing all kinds of odd jobs in the city, carrying bricks, mixing cement, hauling loads under the sun. He once dreamed of a small house, a patch of land, and a quiet life, with a kind wife by his side. Life at first wasn't cruel. Ravi did get married. They were poor, but they loved each other deeply. His wife passed away during a long fever one rainy season. When she died, Ravi didn't cry. He simply walked to the back of the house, washed his hands in the rainwater, and sat under the roof until night came. From that day on, he spoke very little. If someone in the village asked him something, he would just nod or stay silent. What kept him here quietly breathing through each day was a white hen his wife had raised before she passed. Her name was Tara. She was small, gentle, and always circled around Ravi's feet, as if asking, "Are you sad today?" And perhaps Tara was the only sound left in his heart after his wife was gone. Ravi no longer lived for the future. He had no desire to start again. He planted a few rows of vegetables, repaired the old hut, and fetched water from the stream every morning. In the evenings, he would light a small oil lamp, pour a cup of cold tea, and sit quietly, watching Tara sleep in her straw nest. No dreams, no prayers, just one more day of staying alive. Sometimes, on nights when the rain poured hard, Ravi would sit silently by his doorway, watching the water hit the torn leaves of his old thatched roof. He wasn't afraid of the cold. What he feared was the growing silence inside him. The silence with no cough from the kitchen, no kettle boiling, no one asking, "Have you eaten yet?" His house was no longer a place where someone waited for him. Only Tara, still clucking softly at his feet, trying to keep something alive before it slipped away. One day, Tara fell ill. She stopped eating for 2 days, lying weak in her straw nest, not running around like she used to. Ravi panicked. He brought her warm water, gently wiped her feathers with a cloth, the way he once dried his wife's hair. That night he stayed up until dawn, just to make sure Tara was still breathing, and in that quiet moment, watching the little hen tremble in the dark, he realized if he lost one more thing, he wasn't sure he could bear it. From then on, he grew afraid of mornings, afraid of waking up and not hearing Tara's soft call from the corner of the kitchen, afraid that the last thread tying him to this world might one day vanish too. So he began carving small notches into a wooden beam by the door. One mark for each morning Tara still laid an egg. One mark for each day he was still here, as if he was quietly recording the fragile proof of his own existence. One morning, Tara laid eggs again, but this time, not one, but two. Ravi sat and stared at them for a long while. Two small, warm eggs, resting side by side, like drops of dew that hadn't yet melted. He didn't say anything. He just let out a soft, long breath. That morning, he boiled one egg as usual. The other, he wrapped gently in a clean cloth and walked toward the edge of the village. There was a little boy who often sat under a tree, holding his stomach, waiting for his mother to return from the fields. Ravi quietly placed the egg beside the boy, said nothing, and walked away. He didn't know why he did it. All he knew was that morning his heart felt a little less heavy. From then on, Tara laid 2 eggs every day. Ravi didn't ask why. One was for him, the other he wrapped and gave to someone who might need it more. Some days it was the child from the last house. Some days it was the old widow who lived alone. And some days he simply left it at someone's doorstep and walked away. No notes, no names. Each morning there were 2 eggs, and each night he slept more lightly. Not because he had more, but because he had started giving away what he once feared to lose. Summer passed quietly. Ravi continued living as before, only now, each morning, he would wash a clean cloth to wrap the eggs. One for himself, one for someone out there. He didn't need to know who, just knowing that he still had enough to share. On days when heavy rain flooded the village paths, Ravi would wrap the egg in banana leaves, place it in a small woven basket, and cover it with a straw hat before stepping out into the water. His feet were freezing, his shirt soaked, but he held the basket close as if afraid the egg might break. He left it in front of a poor cottage, knocked gently 3 times, then walked away. No one opened the door, but from inside, a child's voice lit up. "Mama, there's an egg." After that, villagers started noticing. Some mornings, a small basket of eggs would appear on a doorstep. Some thought it was a prank. Others believed it was a blessing. But a few elders only smiled and said nothing. They had seen the bent figure of a man carrying a basket passing through the misty lanes at dawn. Ravi never wanted anyone to know. He didn't think he was doing anything special. It was simple, really. If he woke up to another day and Tara still laid 2 eggs, then one of them wasn't meant to be his. Somehow, that made it easier to live. He no longer feared losing Tara, no longer dreaded waking up to silence. Every time he gave away an egg, his heart felt like a pond after rain, still and full. He didn't hope for thanks. He didn't need a name, just knowing that when night came, he could sit under the porch, pour a cup of tea, and quietly think, "Today, I didn't live alone." And maybe that was enough to call it happiness. Someone once asked Ravi, "Why didn't you sell the eggs or raise more hens to live better?" He simply smiled, eyes resting on the sunlight scattered across the yard. "I once had a lot and lost it all. Now I keep one and give one. That's enough." He never used words like blessing. He didn't talk about the meaning of life. He just lived quietly and gently, like someone who had come to understand not everyone needs a lot to feel alive. Sometimes it's enough to know you still have something left to give. And on a windy afternoon, with children's laughter floating from somewhere far, Ravi knew his heart was no longer empty. Dear friend, if someday your heart feels tired and life feels dim, try what Ravi did. Keep one thing to nourish yourself, and offer one thing you once feared to lose. Maybe that's already enough to call it happiness.